Period. Our stream is live.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. We're here for the second edition of Heals, Healing, and Hope. And we are coming back for part two. 2 weeks ago, our conversation started, and it wound up being a really exhilarating kind of conversation. There was a lot of interaction, and we just really had a wealth of knowledge that was shared. And so we thought that it would be really good to come back for part two. And so we're here. Heals, Healing, and Hope with Kiara and Emily. And you see a third person on the screen as well, and it's BB, Thelma Richmond, but we'll explain to you why she's here this afternoon for our show. So last week's show, we talked about toxicity. And we started with a conversation around the definition of what toxicity is. So I would like to just kind of revisit that so that we're all on the same, under the same understanding about what toxicity is. And toxicity is a pattern of behaviors that consistently harm another person's emotional, psychological, physical, or spiritual well-being. Okay. And what we also came to understand that it's not toxicity is not the person or the identity of a person, but it's their behaviors that are actually toxic. And I think that that was pretty much the carry-all or the takeaway from 2 weeks ago's conversation. So it's not necessarily the actual person, but it's their behaviors. We talked a little bit about who toxicity can involve. This is not an inclusive list of who it involves, but it can involve romantic relationships, workplaces, parent-child relationships, church communities, social groups, things of that nature. Then we also talked a little bit about the root causes of toxicity. We talked a little bit about how it can be learned family behaviors, unresolved trauma from our childhood, or even things that we experience in our adulthood. It could be fear. Fear can often lead to show up as disguised anger and control. We talked about toxicity can show up in ways of low self-esteem. We also understand that it can be used as a form of emotional manipulation. And so as a result, what we come to also understand is that
Breaking up a little bit.
we got into a conversation.
BB, can you hear me?
You have to pick up where she left off, Key. She was lagging. It was
Okay.
her Wi-Fi was real slow.
Okay. Well, while we wait for Emily, just wanted to let everybody know that Heals, Healing, and Hope will be held every first and third Tuesday of every month, and starting in August. And we have a designated phone number for live calls and text messages. Additionally, we have an email address for the same purpose. You can remain anonymous or even identify yourself. The phone number is 832 478-8862. And the email address is healshealingandhope@gmail.com. We have a guest today, as Emily expressed earlier, and BB is going to talk a little bit about her toxicity in her workplace. We are interactive on all media platforms, and we'll filter through the comments as they come in live. And this time we're going to wait until the end to do shout outs to everybody when we ask everyone to drop where they are listening from. We'll also refrain from using the taglines. As the comments come in, we'll just read the comments themselves. So that way we can keep the show moving and have a little bit more time to discuss. Please check us out. We're live on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, and Kick. I think we got Emily and BB back. She was lagging a little bit, but she's back to kick us off and get us started.
All right. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right. And so, BB, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Hey, we back in it. All right. So with that being said, we talked a little bit. So I was explaining about BB and how BB got involved. And so that's why it's really important to stay active, interactive with us on the podcast, because there will be times where we'll reach out to you because of something that you may have said, some insight that you may have incorporated into the conversation, and we'll invite you into the show because your comments, the familiarity that you may have to the audience and to what we're talking about, we'll invite you in so that you can share your point of view and your perspective about how the topic that we're discussing at the time can be pertinent not only to yourselves, but to others who are also watching. I always, as always said, is that your testimony is not just for you, but it's for other people to be shared as well. And it's an opportunity for them to learn. So with that being said, I would like to introduce you guys to Thelma BB Richmond. We call her BB. We call her BB. So BB, you're here. Thank you for interacting with us about 2 weeks ago and telling us just a little bit about your experience with some workplace toxicity. So I just want you to feel comfortable. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and then let's kind of get into the meat and potatoes of what your experience was.
Well, thank you guys for having me on. It truly means a lot to be here. Before I begin, let me tell you a little bit about who I am. Well, my name is Thelma Richmond. They call me BB. I spent more than a decade working in healthcare revenue cycle management. Throughout my career, I've held positions ranging from insurance verification to recovery coordinator to various leadership roles, helping resolve complex claims, train staff, improve processes, and recover millions of dollars for healthcare organizations. I've always believed in showing up, working hard, helping others, and leading by example. My career has never been about just collecting a paycheck. It's been simply about making a difference, solving problems, and leaving every team better than it was when I came. That's why today's conversation is so important to me. Everything I'm sharing today comes from my own experiences and lessons I've learned throughout my career. My hope isn't to criticize any individual or organization. My goal is to shine a light on workplace culture, encourage healthier leadership, and let people know they are not alone if they've experienced something similar. Today, I want to talk about something that millions of people experience, but very few people feel safe enough to talk about: workplace toxicity. When people hear the word toxic, they usually picture someone screaming in the office or throwing stuff. But that's not what toxicity usually looks like, is it? Toxic is much quieter than that. It's walking into work every morning with that knot in your stomach.
Mm-hmm.
It's questioning yourself after every meeting. It's wondering why everyone else seems to play by one set of rules and you seem to be playing by another. It's feeling like no matter how hard you work, it's never enough. I've learned that toxic workplaces don't just damage careers, they damage people.
Mm-hmm.
People lose confidence. People lose sleep. That's me. I'll tell
Mm-hmm.
you how many countless hours of sleep I lost. People become anxious. Some people even become physically sick because of the stress that they carry home every day.
Mm-hmm.
And the sad part is that many of the hardest working employees stay because of loyalty. Now, that was me.
Mm-hmm.
They believe that they just work a little harder, if they stay a little later, if they just give more, things will eventually get better. Because that's what I thought. But sometimes the problem isn't your performance. Sometimes the environment that you're in is broken.
Mm-hmm.
One of the biggest lessons I've learned is that moving the goalpost isn't one of the most damaging things an organization can do. In other words, keep saying, oh, move it here. This expectation was here, but now it's
Mm-hmm.
here, and now it's here.
Mm-hmm.
If expectations aren't communicated clearly, if standards constantly change, if employees aren't coached, but instead of criticized after
Mm-hmm.
the fact, you're not creating accountability, you're creating confusion.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
People deserve to know what's expected of them before they're judged against those expectations. Another thing I learned is that fear is a terrible management strategy. When employees are afraid to ask a question, and I know many of my old job was afraid to speak up, afraid to report concerns, or afraid to stand up for themselves, would lead to would lead to retaliation. That's not leadership. That's control.
Mm-hmm.
Real leaders don't build cultures where people stay silent. They build cultures where people feel safe enough to speak honestly.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I want everyone listening today to remember is documentation is not negativity.
Mm-hmm.
Please, please remember that. Document everything.
Mm-hmm.
Documentation is protection. Keep your emails, save them team messages, write down dates, follow verbal conversations with emails, summarizing what was discussed. Not because you're looking for a fight. And they might think that. They might make you believe that you're looking for a fight. No, do that because facts do matter.
Mm-hmm.
If everything is being done fairly, documentation protects everybody.
Right.
I also want to say something to the people who are barely hanging on. If you started questioning your intelligence, your abilities, your values because of one workplace, please, please, please hear me. One employer don't get to define your worth, baby.
Mm-hmm.
One supervisor does not determine your potential. One
Mm-hmm.
bad experience does not erase years of hard work, integrity, and dedication. Don't allow somebody else's opinion to become your identity. That
Mm-hmm.
means, in other
Mm-hmm.
words, your job can tell you this, you ain't this, and you ain't that. Don't take that home and start to begin to think, well, I guess I ain't this, and I guess I ain't that. Please,
Mm-hmm.
please don't do that. Sometimes you're not failing. Sometimes you're planted in an environment where success was never going to be possible.
Mm-hmm.
Those two are very two different things. For leaders who may be watching this, remember something. People don't leave job nearly as often as they leave unhealthy leadership. So if y'all having a high turnaround, y'all may want to go take a look at the leadership.
Mm-hmm.
People
Mm-hmm.
can work hard. People can accept constructive criticism. People can handle accountability, but what they
Mm-hmm.
should never have to work is in fear.
Mm-hmm.
Leadership isn't about power, it's about responsibility. The strongest leaders don't make people feel small, they make people feel capable. If you
Mhm.
have influence over somebody's career, use that influence to develop them, not destroy them. And finally, to everyone that's listening, know your rights. Whew.
Mhm.
Please, please. I didn't know all of mine, but in this process, I learned my rights. Know
Mhm.
your value.
Yep.
Please know your value. Know your worth, baby.
Mhm.
Protect your peace. I'm going to say that one again. Protect your peace. Don't stop
Mhm.
believing in yourself because someone else can see your potential.
Right.
Your story doesn't have to end because one chapter was painful. And that's something that I had to really, really deal with. And it was
Mhm.
the relationship with my job was painful. The breakup was painful, but it wasn't the end. And if
Mhm.
my story helps even one person recognize the warning signs of a toxic workplace, find the courage to speak up, document your experience, or simply realize they
Mhm.
are not alone, then every challenge that I face have served a greater purpose. Thank you guys for listening.
Mhm. Amen. That's good stuff. That's good stuff, BB. Some good advice right there. Can't hear you, Emily. Can't hear you.
You're on mute.
Mm-mm. Check out.
Oh, that's
There you
right,
go.
because I'm on mute. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me call Reverend Lamont over here so he can get the benediction, because baby, you spoke
I
that
know.
thing.
Didn't she? Didn't she?
Woo! Clock it like Nia say, man. Listen, we can end the show
For real.
because baby, you
Yeah.
said that. I mean, I have
Mhm.
a whole list of just things I want to go back and unpack. I mean,
Yeah.
because I really feel like you're speaking to me and my situation, and I know that I'm not the
Mhm.
only one. I know I'm not the only one on here, but like BB, you said it. Like
Yeah.
you said everything that I think a lot of people needed to hear, and I'm getting a little
Mhm.
misty eyed because I think that at the end of it all, while some people's intention may not be to strip you of your integrity or your identity or your potential, but when you walk that journey, that's what it feels like. And then that's
Mhm.
the tunnel that they work on, like they work through. And then that's you're part of the what is the casualty of it all. You
Hmm.
know,
Mhm.
you start losing your identity, you start losing your value, you start losing your integrity and your potential at the end of it all. And it's like, it's kind of like what you said, like you can't, like how do you get out of it? How do you get out of this particular situation when you're in an environment where the goalpost keeps moving? And
Mhm.
so tell us kind of like how did, okay, we know that you're no longer with that particular employer, but how were you received, or what was the conversation like when you turned the mirror to them and tried to get them to understand where their behaviors or some of their techniques were toxic? Like, were they even receptive?
So, some I can say that I did receive response from the very high up. Did give me a phone call. So
Mhm.
Okay.
the president of the company did
Mhm.
call me, and I'm not saying like he knew, like he was new to the company, so he hadn't been there all that long, so he really didn't know me per se. He's seen me,
Mhm.
he's met me, of course, but he really didn't know me and my work. I'm quite sure he's been told, but he did call me up for a conversation to see what exactly was going on. Because I did send an email to the upper management,
Mhm.
because at the end of the day, I have to stand up for myself.
Yeah.
And not only that, some members of my job, some other team members, they asked me to fight.
Mhm.
They asked me
Mhm.
not to just roll over and give up.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I had all of that in mind going through this process. but he listened to whatever it is that I had to say, and basically he just said it's a misunderstanding, but it really wasn't a misunderstanding to me. But
Right.
I know that's just what upper management is doing, and just saying.
Mm-hmm.
My problem was I wanted them to look into the situation. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted them to actually look, not just take a manager's word for something. Because
Mm-hmm.
when they emailed me a whole bunch of information that wasn't correct. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
they say one thing, and I'm like, baby, I haven't done that in years. Like, I haven't been on that team in years. Your information is incorrect, and all I
Mm-hmm.
wanted you to do was actually look into the information that I'm telling you. But they didn't do none of that, so they wasn't very receptive of doing the leg work, shall we say. They took someone's word for something instead of just actually doing the leg work. So upper management, that's all I can say they didn't do. They didn't actually do the leg work. You just took a manager's word instead of investigating stuff yourself. So what I would say to them is all you have to do is investigate yourself. And you would have found where the problem lies. But I know y'all probably think they upper management, they got so much to do. But at the end of the day, this somebody's livelihood.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just take a little effort. And
Mm-hmm.
especially with me, I've been an employee. I was there for almost 11 years.
Wow.
Oh
Mm-hmm.
wow.
I've never received a point. I've never had a write up.
Wow.
And you don't even go the extra step to even verify the manager's information.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was all just mind boggling to me. It was like a big case of wow, like I was dreaming of something. But yeah, so they actually didn't do too much of nothing.
Mm-hmm. How did you recover? Like you
BB,
talked about, sorry, sorry about that. You talked
no, go
about
ahead.
the breakup, which is a lot, it's hard for a lot of people. You've been at a job so many years and you have been loyal and you have been devoted and you expect somebody to take your word, to listen to you, to speak up, but then you leave and now you're disconnected from all of this and all of this is on you. You're taking it with you. How did you deal with that? How did you avoid becoming depressed, or did you go through a period of depression? Did you go through anything like that?
So, like I tell my wife, I told her this is their relationship, and it broke up. It's like a relationship with another person.
Mm-hmm.
And when we broke up, it wasn't great.
Mm-hmm.
So I really dealt with that emotionally, physically. I wasn't sleeping. It was on my mind all the time. It's like when you break up with somebody in a relationship. You break up, you're thinking about it, you're feeling bad, you're feeling down. I didn't want to get out of bed. Like, it was hard for me because I was thinking I was on one path. And then when all of a sudden that path comes to an end without any notice,
Mm-hmm.
and you've been giving your all to it, and then
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden they break it off, and you
Mm-hmm.
don't even understand why. If had I cheated or something, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
Had I been abusive or something, then
Mm-hmm.
you know why it broke up. But when you going and you thinking everything's gravy, and then all of a sudden, bam,
Mm-hmm.
that's
Mm-hmm.
something. Oh my God, that's like something you're really dealing with, a breakup. So I did
Mm-hmm.
go through all the emotions. I was angry, I was sad, I didn't want to, I was depressed a while. And it took a lot for me
Mm-hmm.
to get over it. And I'm not saying that I'm completely over it as of today,
Right. Right.
because that's a process.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still going through that, that process, that breakup. And I'm still dealing with it.
Mm-hmm.
But what I do know is that somebody, God, got something better
Mm-hmm.
for me.
Amen.
And
Yes.
that's what got me to get past most of the emotional stuff. It's because I know that God got something better in store for me. So maybe that job wasn't where I was supposed to be. And God knew I probably wasn't gonna leave that job. I've been there
Mm-hmm.
11 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think of it as He got something better for me. Now I'm at a point where I can actually do some of the stuff that I wanted to do. I have the time to do some stuff that I wanted to do. And let me say, my light ain't been off, my bills still paid.
Yeah. There you go.
I'm still here. I'm still living. I haven't missed a beat. And
Mm-hmm.
now I have time to do extra stuff, other stuff that I believe God had put in me to do anyway. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, right now it's a blessing in disguise.
Yeah. It
Yeah,
is.
yeah, yeah. So, baby, talk to us a little bit about the path of what you feel like God. I mean, even though it was a sad situation that you were relieved of your job, but talk to us a little bit about what you think this path has led you to. Like, what do you think that you say you have a lot more time to do things that you have wanted to do? So, talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, being on here today.
Yeah. There you go.
Hey!
I have been wanting to be an inspirational, a motivational speaker per se. And
Oh yeah, you
I
got
know
that.
God has been giving me that spirit for a long time. And I just haven't had the courage uh to get on and do what I believe God has called me to do. Now I minister and I give advice at the job all the time. And people
Mm-hmm.
tell me, why are you here? Like, why are you at this job? This not where you need to be at. And even though I get confirmation from God, I still, was putting it to the side, putting it to the side. And when I got the call to be on here today, and I was like, I told, oh, that's God confirmation right there.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
this is what I was supposed to be doing. So
Mm-hmm.
for me, is giving me time to do that. Like, and I also want to get into tech. So it's giving me time to go back to school.
Nice.
Like, it's
Nice.
it's it's doing those little things. I could spend more time with my children.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's my daughter say, "Mom, you always working, but I know you're working to make sure we're okay."
Yeah.
And she's okay with that. But now I
Mm-hmm.
get to take her to the mall and take her here and spend a little extra time with my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I'm doing all the things that I couldn't really do when I was working, and now I'm able to do right now while I'm looking for a job.
Mm-hmm. Things you can never get back.
Oh,
You can never get back time. Oh, I can't hear. Uh-oh. Maybe I need to go out. Emily, you're on mute. Emily, can you hear me?
You can hear me?
I can hear you, but we lost BB.
I can hear you. You can't hear me?
I can hear you, but we
Okay.
lost
All right,
BB.
good. Good, good, good. I'm gonna have to take my
There you go.
there I go. Sorry.
Okay. Now we can't hear you again, Aaron. Say something. Emily? Oh, we lost her. But that's so true, BB. You can never get back time. You can never get back all that you lost from that job. Oh, you can't hear me either.
Emily goes out. I can't talk.
I can hear you. I can hear BB. Oh, sorry, everybody. We got a little technical difficulty going on here. Emily's on mute.
but you can hear me.
I can hear you now. Can you hear BB?
Okay.
BB's out. BB's out.
Yeah.
She's coming back in. Yeah, but
Okay.
go ahead. We can't hear you either, Galen.
I said I had refreshed the screen. That's all.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay. She'll come back in.
I'm back.
Okay. Everybody live? All
Okay.
right. All right. No, that's some good stuff. I was
Yeah.
telling her about, the time she could never get back, the missing time with her daughter, having the time to do all the things that she wants to do now. Those are things we take for granted when we work, because we work
Mhm.
because we want to provide. We want to have things, to take care, whether it's take care of our kids, do things with our spouses, whatever it is, tithe, whatever those things are. But we lose so much from jobs that drain us, and
Mhm.
knowing how to cut that line, knowing when to walk away, we're loyal. Yeah, I've been in slumps in my job where I feel like, it's time to go. I'm tired. Everybody's on my nerves. I'm irritable. And I know why, because I take it home with me. I take everything home with me, what people are saying about me, what I'm not good enough. And like you said, one of the points you made that hit home is continuing to move the goalposts, continuing to move the line. When you think you've made it and you think you're here, then you look up and they're like, but you need to do this, continuing to have to prove yourself, to your job. And it's exhausting when you've been there like you 11 years, and still it's not enough for you to take my word or take a little bit of time to look into what I'm talking about and see where the problem really is. You'd rather lose a good employee than to do what's right by me. you know that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
It's
And,
unfortunate.
I think that it's also important that, a job is supposed to support us. It's supposed
Hmm.
to support our lifestyle, but it's not supposed to be our entire life either.
Right.
And so, I
Work-life
think that
balance.
yeah, it's that balance.
I
It's that
can't hear
balance.
you.
She can't hear you, Em.
Okay. Maybe I can try to put my earbuds back in.
I don't know if it's that or if
How is that?
uh,
Can you hear me, Auntie?
I can hear you. I can hear
Can
you
you hear me
better,
now,
but
BB?
can you hear BB?
No.
No, she still can't hear.
You said you could hear me better without my
I
earbuds?
can I can hear you good. I can hear you good now.
Okay. Okay, cool. I think one of the things that BB said also too is about the workplace culture. When
Yeah,
it's toxic, yeah,
yeah.
like it's when the entire like entity is toxic, you really feel
Hmm.
lost in the shuffle because
Mhm.
while you're while you're swimming upstream, you got this rift coming that's just blowing you back where you started. And it's kind of like you can have all the pizza parties that you want. You can have all the ice cream socials.
Right,
You can give me
right.
all the t-shirts that you want to give me, but that's not going to change the workplace toxicity and the culture. Like you
Yep.
can come up with all the slogans you want, to try to make it seem like this environment is going to improve and going to be so much better. But when it's coming from, a couple of different titles and paychecks above you, if
Hmm.
you're not able to implement the change that's even above you. So it's kind of like
Hmm.
I'm swimming upstream, but steadily getting pushed back to shore. And so that really resonates with me. It's the culture of the
Hmm.
workplace that can be
Hmm.
entirely toxic. BB, you
Yeah.
preach to me, baby. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Yes,
Yeah.
indeed. You don't even sometimes you don't even realize you're in it. You are
Hmm.
in that cycle and you are just you don't know why you're coming home tired and exhausted and your body hurts and you're like you said, you have headaches and you're sick to your
Mm.
stomach and you don't even
Hmm.
understand that it's the job that's doing it because the way we're conditioned to work, to make money, to work hard.
Yep.
When you've been taught those things, you continue to do that. You continue to prove. And then, you look up one day and like you said, everybody else is doing something different. Everybody else is, you're working, and everybody's gossiping and doing this and doing that, and you're struggling to just keep your head above water, and you want to quit, you want to stop
Hmm.
doing, but it's not in your makeup. It's not in your makeup to not
That's it.
try to be successful. I don't want to join the group. A
Hmm.
lot, one of the things that me and one of my good friends always talk about is helping other women. A lot of times in a culture where there's a lot of women, and you hate to feel that way or say that, but it's the truth. Women don't, a lot of us, and sometimes in our own races. We keep each other down. I don't want to see you do better than what I'm doing. Or, I don't want to see you thrive. And one of my good friends, April, when I first met her, at my job, she told me that, if there's ever an opportunity to mentor another young woman, and especially another Black woman, that's something that I want to do, because I know how hard it is to climb the ropes, to learn. Don't ever be afraid to teach what you've learned to somebody else. But you have people who they hold on so tight to everything they know, all of their
Hmm.
knowledge, and refuse to give that up. And it it is toxic. It becomes toxic because you're holding another person back from being their best person, being their best self, showing up as their best, the best that they can be. All because you don't want to see them succeed.
See.
But if that's their plan, if that's what God has a plan for them to do, let them do it. Let them be their best. Don't ever stop somebody's shine. Don't ever, dim somebody else's light so you can stay where you are. And then we look around and, you think somebody's your friend, and the next thing you know,
Hmm.
or a workplace friend, and you're stabbed in the back because you want more. Oh, she wants to do this, or she's Miss Goody Two Shoes, or she wants to, kiss up to the boss. No, I'm trying to be my best for me. So we get a lot of that in workplace culture.
And I agree with you. And me personally, I'm a woman. I am all for women in leadership. Let me just
Yeah,
say, I am
absolutely.
all for it. And at the job it was the women that was in leadership positions.
Yeah.
And it
Hmm.
made me question myself and what I like
Mm-hmm.
because of what happened. I was
Mm-hmm.
all for women in leadership positions. And
Mm-hmm.
then after all this happened, I'm like, it was the women that was in leadership like that got me in the back. That just
Mm-hmm.
they came for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that was surprising for me too. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm still for women in leadership position, just the right woman in
Yeah.
leadership position.
Yeah,
Just
that
not
part.
the
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
the, the toxic
Leaders have to
ones.
Hmm.
realize, like you said, leaders have to realize, how toxic they are. I'm preventing someone else from moving through the ranks, either because I'm jealous or because I'm just something else is going on in my world where I'm toxic already. So I come in and I take that out on people at work. But how do we undo that? How do we change that amongst our peers and our leaders? How do we get them to understand where, that I'm not trying to come for you. I'm not trying to take what you have. I just want to be the best me that I can be. I just want to grow and in my role. What do we do?
I had a conversation when I got to my old job the first time, and I was under a manager, and we didn't always see eye to eye per se, and I was ready to quit.
Hmm.
And I called my mom. I never forget. I went downstairs, called my mom. She said, "BB, just go talk to him." I
Mm-hmm.
said, "Mama, I really can't." She said, "Calm down and just go ask her for a conversation." And I
Mhm,
did that.
mhm,
I went back up there and I asked my manager, can we have a conversation? She said yes. And, I told her straight up, you know, I know you come in, you having a hard time, but you're taking it out on us,
Mm-hmm.
and we haven't done anything. And she told me she was dealing with some stuff at home, and
Mm-hmm.
she was going through some stuff. And I told her, well, okay, we all deal with stuff. And I said, but before I come through the door, I drop it. I said I
Mm-hmm.
could be on the phone arguing with somebody, but as
Mm-hmm.
soon as I get to the door, I gotta drop it because the people inside this office didn't do nothing to me.
Amen. Yep.
And I
Yep.
said, so after that, we had the best of relationship. And all it
Mm-hmm.
took was a
Was a
conversation.
conversation. Sometimes that's
So,
a hard thing to do. So,
oh,
you
I
know, your
can't hear
mom was
y'all.
absolutely right. Oh, you can't hear me? Let's see. Emily dropped. Mm-mm. Emily's on here twice. Sorry, guys. We got a little technical difficulty again. I think it's that Spring, Texas Wi-Fi.
Oh,
Oh, she's back.
don't be talking
But
about me.
while we're trying to get everything going, we got a few people. People are listening to you, BB. A lot of people are saying, "Yep, that was good. You are helping somebody, BB. Testify. You got thumbs up, right?" You know, one person said, "I'm not experiencing anything towards myself, but I sit back and watch everything around me, and I hate it. And it just that alone makes me not want to come to work." And there are people who see what's going on, who are around this toxic environment, and even though it's not affecting them right now at that moment, they see it, and that then you think, oh, I don't want to go to this job because this is every day the same thing. One person said gatekeeping.
Hmm.
People are keeping this, keeping you away from what's good for you or what's meant for you, and that's so unfortunate. It's so unfortunate that we do that to one another. We're all there to work. We're all there to do a job. We all have something for us individually to do. I just don't know how we change that. Continuing, maybe like you said, you were always meant to talk to other people, to inspire. That's something you've always wanted to do. What you're doing right now, I know, is helping somebody, understand. Somebody right now is sitting there going, I'm in a toxic work relationship, and I don't even know it. I didn't even know it until BB told her story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, yep. For me, can you hear me?
Yes. Hmm.
For me, another thing that really hit home with BB's testimony, and I'm calling it a testimony because
Hmm.
what resonated with me was when she said that when your stomach starts to turn when it's time to go to
Hmm.
work. There are times where
Hmm.
I have sat in my car. And I'm just
Hmm.
like, I don't know if y'all see like that nurse that has gone viral, and he's just sitting in the car, and he's sitting in the car like dancing and trying to pump
Yeah.
themselves up.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, we gotta go in here, but come on, you gotta have the right kind of attitude. You gotta pump.
Yeah.
You just been sitting there like literally pumping yourself up
Hmm.
because you know what you're getting ready to walk into. And as a social worker, our job and our role is to take on other people's trauma. And then when you already know that that's your role, and then you're still going in, when you're still walking into an environment where you're taking on also the stress and the conflict that's already a workplace, toxic workplace environment, that's another
Hmm.
layer of stress and anxiety. So, though you ask, what is it that we can do? I think that it's number one, realizing that the awareness of what environment that you're in,
Hmm.
and the awareness is such an eye-opening thing. And then when you start seeing patterns, which is, remember what we talked about patterns. If you start seeing patterns in a workplace environment that's taking or tackling your values, your integrity, the essence of who you are, is taxing on your mental health. Let's go back to the definition: your spiritual well-being, your personal well-being, your physical well-being. If you're starting to see those patterns, then number one, I think it's always best to pray, sit still and pray,
Mm-hmm.
and ask God, where are you leading me? Are you leading me to, is this the end of a sentence and now it's time for me to move on somewhere differently? Is it, are you using me as the conduit to help make some type of change in the place that I'm in? And if I am that conduit, show me what it is and make it plain, God. Make it plain what my role is to help create the change in this culture. And I think another thing too is really realizing some realistic boundaries. Realistic boundaries. I always watch this lady on Facebook, and she's a psychotherapist, and she says boundaries are for you. Rules are for other people. Your boundaries are your boundaries, and they should not be compromised for anyone. I've had to have a conversation with someone. I said, listen, I was a social worker before I came here, and I'm going to be a social worker when I leave. So please understand that when I come to my job, I give my all. I give my all. And when I leave this job, I want to be able to leave it here because my family deserves who I am when I come home. And I'm going to give my all from 8 to 5. And then from 5, I'm cutting it off because those 3 in here, even though they get on my nerves, I got to still give them all of who I am. You know, that's really important. And I think that your support system is really important to have intact. I didn't even realize that I was creating a toxic environment for myself. I just recently was sharing with my aunt about a test, a really important test that I needed to take. She was like, first of all, you created too much stress for yourself. She said, when have you ever been successful when you didn't have your support system around you? She was like, never. And I was like, yeah, you're right. You're right. And she was like, you cut everybody off. We were supposed to do a conference call with you the night before you took your test. We didn't get a chance to do that. Your husband was supposed to pray with you before you left to go take your test. You didn't have that. You cut us all off. And then when you got to the testing center, something happened and you weren't even able to take your test. That was God created. All of those barriers were created because you didn't have your support system. And I created that toxic environment for myself.
And sometimes you like she didn't even realize it. She was so upset about it. And like one of the comments said, the devil don't like positive, And so she started her morning. She even had a issue with her car that morning. She went in frazzled, and everything that they've ever done, everything that she's ever done, she or her husband or anybody in our family group, we'll pray the morning of, pray the night before, talk it through, give some cheers, but she was so hell-bent on doing this because being afraid, if I don't pass this test, what is people are gonna, oh, I'm sorry, oh, she didn't want to hear that, but that's okay. It's okay. It's okay if you don't get it right the first time, because you're not going to quit. We're not going to let you quit, but I told her all the problems came in when you shut all the good out and you set off to do this alone. You didn't have your armor. So that you were the devil's playing field that day. He had you from the morning when that tire bust or the car didn't start, all the way till you got to that testing center. But right before, you got stopped. You got stopped before you walked in that door and ruined it for yourself. which was going to put you right
Mhm.
where you didn't want to be, failed at a failure. So roll it back.
Mhm.
Roll it back, and let's do
Mhm.
it right this time. And that was a blessing because everybody doesn't get that
Mhm.
chance or see it from that perspective. People think, oh, I messed up. Oh,
Yeah.
it was all of, and that's the route she was going. Oh, it's just so upset. And I'm like, no, let's think about the part you played to get to where you were, you
Mm.
know. And
Mhm.
not only did she realize that, but she got a confirmation from the testing site that the protocol at the site was incorrect. So,
But God.
she brought light to something
Mhm.
that needed to be corrected for the next person that goes in, but she never takes her own advice, BB, and she gives great advice, which is sit still, be still. She told me in one of my darkest moments that's something I was really going through. I just sit still. Sit still and pray about it and see where God is going to lead you. And ask, be specific. Ask for what you
Mm.
want to
That's
know,
it.
where you want him to guide you. And she did. She told me that. I listened for the first time ever because I usually don't listen. But no,
Yeah.
I'm just
Never.
kidding.
Mm-mm.
But she did, and it helped and it worked and it it changed things for me. It gave me the perspective I needed to keep moving forward. So support system is always number one.
Always.
God, your
Mhm.
family, your faith. You gotta have that faith first. You gotta put him first.
And let me chime in on that alone part. The devil wants you to feel like you're alone.
Amen.
He
Yes,
knows he can
indeed.
come get you when you're alone.
Mm-hmm.
So he will do any and everything to make you feel like you're alone. But
Mm-hmm.
Emily, you had your support system. He
Mm-hmm.
wanted you not to have them because he
Mm-hmm.
knew if you had your backing,
Mhm.
he knew that if you was
Mm-hmm.
leaning on your backing, it would have came out totally different. He wanted you to feel
Mm-hmm.
like you was by yourself. And that's what I tell a lot of people. God wants you, don't ever feel like you're alone. The devil wants
Mm-hmm.
you to feel that you, but God is always there. He's
Yep.
always
Amen.
there. And the support system, I have one of my own. Baby, I can't live
Mm-hmm.
without him.
Mm-hmm.
For the good and for the bad, I
Yep.
got my
Yep.
support system.
I
And
know that's
and
real.
that's the one thing the devil hate is a group.
Mm-hmm.
He wants you out
Mm-hmm.
there by yourself. He don't want you
Mm-hmm.
depending on God and your support system. He wants you
That's
out
what
there
I
by
told her.
yourself.
Where's those prayer warriors? Where was those prayer warriors, Emily? You left them
Okay.
behind. Uh-oh, Emily's out too. Looks like it's just me. Let's see if everybody's going to come back, but I am seeing some of the comments. One says at times the company tries to pass it off as PCM, which is people centered management. However, it's more of them using CMP, companies manipulating people. Due to us with strong work ethic, we give 110%, but in turn only have 60% to give to family and self. But as I think for even myself, I gave myself a fraction, 15% of what I gave to the job. Where would I be? This guy was talking about how people centered management, how companies try to pass that off, and it's the other way around. It's CMP, companies manipulating people, and they do. Sometimes companies pit people against each other. I've
Mm-hmm.
experienced that before, and you have to recognize it. You know, Emily, can you hear us? I think you're frozen again. Can you hear us? I don't think so. I think she's out. So BB, like when you talked earlier behind the scenes about how they notified you, that was that's pretty cold, you know? Tell us about that.
So when they called me up, the first thing they said was, you know how they try to make it seems all nice and fluffy. Said,
Hmm.
Thelma, we're going to give you the opportunity to quit.
Wow.
I looked at
Wow.
them and they said, well, we're going to give you this opportunity so you won't have a stain on your record. And I'm thinking in my head, what record? We not in school.
Right.
What record are you
Right.
talking about? Stain on my
Right.
record. We're going to give you the
Right.
opportunity to just to quit so you won't have a stain on your record. Oh
Hmm.
yeah,
Hmm.
I know your games. They must
Hmm.
forget that I was in management too.
Hmm.
No, ma'am. I politely said, "Well, that's not going to happen. I'm
Hmm.
not going to quit. You're going to have to do what you have to do."
Hmm.
And they said, well, "We're going to have to fire you." Okay, thank you. I will
Wow.
take that. And I also told them, "Y'all have a good, yeah,
Yeah.
y'all have a good one, but you
Yeah.
lost a really good one."
Hmm.
And so the fact that they wanted me to quit first,
Hmm.
that actually says it all.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, because they actually knew that they was not in right protocol to be letting me go.
Hmm.
And for anybody listening, if they asking you to quit,
Yeah.
don't give them that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That means they don't got all the documentation and stuff in a row to
Hmm.
actually fire you.
Hmm.
So don't
Hmm.
fall for the okie doke. And I did not
Hmm.
fall for that. And you know,
Yeah.
they don't always think we smart,
Right. Right.
but they got one that is.
Hmm. And sometimes you have to take action. Sometimes you have to fight back, after, even after it's all said and done, and they count on a lot of people not fighting back,
Mhm.
giving up and walking
Rolling
away,
over.
making you tired. Yeah, I'm tired. I don't want to do this anymore. They're not worth it. But like you said, if you have the proper documentation, if you have the right things, documented properly, we always talk about documentation. Me and my wife, we talk about make sure you write everything down, times, dates, whatever that looks like, because you never know when you're going to need that. You never know when you're going to need that. She was in a somewhat of a toxic situation at her own job, and God took care of it for her, thankfully. And the person that was trying to railroad her got put out the door. And she went to work every day, did her job, stayed out of the all the BS, kept it simple, and they hated it. They wanted so much to see her break. She's in a male dominated industry, and so they wanted to see her buckle, and they couldn't get her to buckle. She refused. And she said, I'm just going to pray about it. I'm going to pray about it. I'm going to wait until where what God tells me to do next. He's going to take care of me. I'm not worried about it. And literally, it wasn't a few months later, this person got let go. The
Hmm.
person that was creating that, wreaking that havoc, you know. And that was a blessing. It was a blessing
Oh,
that he
yes.
took care of it. But she put her faith in God. She put her faith in the right place. And some people don't know to do that or don't have that. Emily, you're muted. Some people don't know to do that. But like Emily always says, therapy is also a good place to start. If you don't have that strong faith base, or you don't have that, find somebody that can talk to you, somebody objective that can put you in the right mindset to do what you need to do, give you the strength to, if you're wrongfully terminated, fight it. you
Mm,
know a lot
mm,
of us a lot of us can't afford to just quit
right.
because we don't like the environment that we're in. We need our insurance. We need, for whatever the
Uh,
reason, we need a paycheck coming in. They
Mhm.
want you to quit so they don't pay unemployment.
Unemployment.
Yeah, you know. So I'm gonna make it hard for you so that you quit and I owe you nothing.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And too many workplaces would rather get rid of their best employees than to really focus and confront the actual toxic environment
Yes.
those things. Like you, what the issues are.
You're going in and out. You
Okay.
need to put your earbuds in.
Went to my phone. Is this a little bit better?
Yes.
Okay. It's like in workplace environments would rather get rid of you where you're giving 110%, 10%, and you're giving your all and you're, willing to show up loyal and you're willing to give in and give all of what you have, and you'll rather get rid of me than to really tackle what the real issue is.
Hmm. And I don't even understand that sometimes.
I
I don't
don't either.
understand
Me either.
why, they won't address the situation. But my thought, my thought process is that if they admit that there's a problem, they're responsible for that
For that
problem.
problem.
Yeah.
If they admit that, so I'm going to make you think you're wrong. I'm
Yeah.
going to make
Yeah.
you think you're wrong. And if I could get rid of this person who's trying to do the right thing, or
Mhm.
because I know she's documenting and I know she's doing this, but if I get rid of her, then my problem is solved. But it's backwards. It's backwards
Mhm.
because you got rid of a really good employee,
Yeah.
and we do that in life, like BB said, and also in relationships,
Yeah.
when we're
Mhm.
toxic or our own toxicity, we don't realize it. I'm gonna get rid of you because I don't want to hear the good. I don't want to hear the
Mhm.
positive. I want to stay in this space that I'm in because I think I
Mhm.
know it all, not even able to self-reflect and
Yeah.
stop and say, wait a minute, I'm the issue here.
Mhm.
I'm
Yep.
the issue here because sometimes
Mhm.
we are, even in the work environment. You don't even realize
Yep.
I'm the problem. I'm
Yep.
the problem, you
Yep.
know?
Absolutely. This was a great conversation, and I think I think we were able to kind of bring it home and close the
Yep.
conversation out for this week's conversation on ending toxicity. BB, thank you again for sharing your experience. It's one of those things you hate to hear it, but
Hmm.
I'm glad to hear that you were able to survive it and you're
Hmm.
now realizing what you were missing because you talked about how you're now able to focus on the things that you didn't have time for before.
Hmm.
And I know Jamari is just loving all of the attention that she's getting from you. And you keep on loving on your little pumpkin. And I just pray that, God continues to open the door for what he truly has for you in your path. So
Hmm.
thank you again for sharing your testimony. This could have been just one more thing that God was testing you with. Let me see if she's gonna
Hmm.
open her mouth and express, if
Hmm.
she's gonna really, speak truth to who I am in her life,
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
thank you for being obedient and thank you for answering the call when we, contacted you about wanting to be on the show today. So thank you.
Yeah.
And
And
thank
thank
you
you to
guys.
everybody who's listening here today. We appreciate you guys tuning in. We appreciate your comments. We'll try to go back in and answer if anybody has any questions. Don't forget, we've got a phone line that you can call. Don't forget that we've got an email address. It's in our promos. And we'll be back here the first and third Tuesday of
Mhm.
every month starting in August. And as we leave today, we just want to say there's grace in the heals, strength in the healing, and light in the hope. Heals, healing, and hope. Join us the first week in August. We'll see you
Peace.
soon. Thank you,
Bye,
BB.
y'all.
Peace
Take
out. Peace
care.
out. Take
All
care,
right,
everybody.
it's the Auntie and Emily show. Auntie and Emily.
So getting the help that I needed from a therapist, and that was a journey in itself.
Yeah.
I was ready to quit. I went through a therapist. I looked for the right one. I thought she was, and then I was, she's not fixing me.
You're coming to someone to say, I need help. And I really and truly don't know how to say what it is or what type of help that I need, but I'm here.
stop what you're doing right now and go subscribe to Boss Talk Podcast 101 Primetime on YouTube, all social media platforms. Boss Talk Podcast 101 Primetime. Like, share, subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to make sure you tap in. Right now, over 72,000 subscribers and well over 11 million views and watch time hours. So make sure that you continue to support, like, share, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend, and keep tapping in with us because we're going to keep on bringing you this hot content every day and in every way. It's your main man, Big G. And make sure, like I said, stop what you're doing right now and tap in. Like, share, subscribe. Boss Talk Podcast 101 Primetime.
It's about that time. We decided we were going to do something a little bit different today, add some different elements to what we already do. It's going down, man. Trying to figure out ways to break the algorithm, man. Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe to all our channels, all our different platforms. Boss Talk 101, Boss Talk 101 Primetime. It's crazy. We got to get it done, though. Boss Talk 101, where the boss is talking.
No, this is not a dream. You're in the world of Inside Speaks. We're inspiring you to find happiness in your world. Guess what? We outside with it. We like to hammock camp, bike, as well as ruck. That's right. I'm an Army veteran. I served 2 tours, man, with some great individuals, man. We had our ups, we had our downs, just like you go through in life. But I tell you what, I'm going to share some of them stories with you on this channel.